We are at another episode of In Focus. My name is Hayden Greene, and I'm going to be your host today. We've got another amazing photographer to talk to about their work and about their journey to photography. And so we've got Chris Facey here with me, and I'm going to really enjoy this interview. I've done an interview with Chris before, so I kind of know where his head is at. So you're in for a treat. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Hayden. Thank you for having me. How's everything with you?
Everything is good. Trying to stay sane in a very insane world. Um,
Like
as,
that.
as as you know, In Focus is just really an opportunity to just have a conversation with some photographers to talk about their journey, and let's start that with you. First of all, what kind of photographer do you consider yourself? Like, what when you tell people this is the type of photography that I'm into? What do you tell them?
Man, usually I just tell them that, I'm a documentary or portrait photographer out here in Brooklyn that tries to focus on documenting the true representations of Black communities. So usually I'm in Bed-Stuy or Crown Heights or wherever, just a lot of predominantly Black neighborhoods. And I just make sure I tell the accurate stories there.
That's amazing. Now, here's a question though. When you see things that are outside of that realm, so if you see a really dope picture of some white guys playing basketball, do you take that picture or it's like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
that's
it
not my
depends
thing?
on, yeah. It depends on how I'm feeling. If usually the rule for me is if I have to look twice, I need to make that photograph. So like it doesn't really matter for me. Just that the main goal is always I want to make sure Black people getting their just due.
Good, good. That's a good focus point. And that's a really good piece of advice. If it makes you look twice, take the picture.
Of
Take the
course.
picture. That's dope. So talk to me a little bit about how you got to where you are. What's your photography journey? Were you formally trained? Is this something that you took up on the side? Have you always like what was your photography journey?
Yeah, well, no, I wasn't formally trained. I'm mostly self-trained. I picked up the camera while I was still serving in the army. It was about 2015, maybe late 2015. I came home on leave. I came to visit my brother, and he's like, "Man, I paid this photographer 300 and something dollars to make a picture of me in these shirts." And the pictures were like so regular. And I was like, "Bro, you could have paid me that money. You could have saved that money." I was like, "I think I'm gonna get into this if that's the type of money people are paying."
Right.
So he gave me a camera, like it's an old Fuji 8 megapixel camera, but I didn't know anything about the craft at all. I was so naive in the craft, like I could do that. Like I took it back with me to Fort Drum. I'm practicing with it. I'm like, why can't my stuff don't look like this? How come the background is blurry for this
Right,
picture?
right, right.
This is not doing that. And I just started going down this wormhole, learning and learning and learning. I had to go and get a military credit card to get my first camera because nobody around me was willing to like sell a camera or they weren't at a price that I could afford.
Right.
So I get the camera, I get like a Canon T5 or something like that, one of the TI somethings. And I was using that with the kit lens. I thought I had it all together. I'm studying portraiture. I'm thinking photography is only portraiture. So I'm doing maternity shoots on post for other soldiers' wives. I'm trying to photograph just regular portrait sessions, just real bad technically, but portraiture. And then I start doing some more research and I come across Gordon Parks, Roy De
Mm,
Carava, W. Eugene Smith, Robert Frank. And I'm like, this isn't what I thought it was. Like I can do this. And I started learning and my mind was so now I'm taking the camera with me to like regular formation in the army, trying to make pictures when we're on our downtime, cleaning weapons, whatever the case was, training exercises, you name it, I was taking it. I was trying to use it a little bit to get out of some training exercise field work sometimes. I'd be like, hey sir, like they're not gonna believe we were training if we don't have no photos. He's like, basically go ahead and go out there and get that.
I
So I would
got
go
you.
out there, I would go out there and do that real quick. And that's just been what it was. And then when I left the army, I came home. New York was a different New York, and that was kind of my intro into kind of get used to getting on the street. I applied to go to SVA before I got out. I made it in. I'm a student there now. I'm in my last year. Um, and I just been learning more technical stuff, meeting people, other students, some contemporaries. That's like they got some amazing work, and it's truly inspiring to see a lot of other Black photographers, even though they're not at SVA, they're well known in that SVA world. Like some of the teachers would know them. And
Nice.
from there, it was just on. I just wanted to just tell stories and document how Gordon Parks was. And I did the portraits, I did the stuff with the lights just to know how to do it. But my real goal was to tell those stories because everybody has a camera. Everybody could take you can get lucky and take a really good
Absolutely.
portrait. I just want to go out and tell those stories.
And that's how, my cousin Chris got a camera. He could take these pictures for me. That's exactly what happens.
That happens, but it's cool. Sometimes I welcome that because I come into that and it's family, and it's like I've accepted being a documentarian of my family because once my grandmother just passed in December of last year, and when I came home, I was big on taking photos of the family. Like I just dubbed myself the family documentarian because I was looking at the old photo albums, and there was really nothing from like my brother and I's teenage years. You know what I mean? Like there's really nothing in there. So I said I'm gonna probably go out of my way to just come on, New York.
Well, we know you're in New York now. Where you got the sound effects in the background.
And there wasn't no images, and I was like, no, I can't let this slide. I got my own kids, my daughters. I take photographs of them, take photographs of the family. I wanted to do that, keep that going. And I took photos of my grandmother, and we ended up having to use it, for the family T-shirts and stuff like that. So it was good to have that. And since then, like that just triggered something else. Like this camera is a little bit more than just taking pictures. You got to really be in this, and this is life. This is for memory's sake,
Yeah, and I hear you about taking pictures. I can't get any more pictures of my daughters. They refuse to. They see me coming with the camera, like, nah, come on, Dad. Like, I got a tween and another one that thinks that she's a tween. So it's like, forget that. So you talked a little bit about the documentation of the Black experience. And so that's a very nuanced and niche way of looking at your work. And it sounds like that's influenced by your identity, but talk to me about how being Black has influenced your career.
Oh man, it's a really good question. This summer, I think it's influenced it a lot. I think when it came down to getting jobs to photograph the Black Lives Matter protests, I think it was important that a lot of these publications reached out to me because I was Black and I can get in there and I can empathize and sympathize with the people that's in those crowds. Because I am them. I'm always a protester first at the protest. And I guess they realized that you're not going to get no more truer images from somebody that's kind of well removed, like for say like a non-Black photographer. Like if they don't understand what's about to happen or how we're feeling, they wouldn't know exactly what to look for. So I think that has been good, but it's also kind of bittersweet because it's like, now will you hire me for other things that's not, Black? So that's where I'm at right now, career-wise. I don't think I've been getting a couple of gigs here and there, people wanting to license images and stuff, primarily around the protest, but I'm waiting to see if somebody's going to step up and want to try to take an opportunity to go a different route.
Have you felt that that's been true of your career prior to this year? That the jobs that you would have gotten were because, oh, well, let's get a Black photographer on this, or do you feel that your career has had a different trajectory there?
I think it had a different trajectory there. Beforehand, I wasn't really getting gigs or jobs or commissions or whatever the case may be. It was just, hey, good job, keep it up. You have the potential to, and then once you start, shifting gears, and I think my work ethic is kind of what charged that. I started putting good energy out there where I was like, I'm just going to photograph. It started with just documenting COVID when it happened in the beginning.
Okay.
I was out there while everybody was home, and I wasn't thinking about me being the only one out there, no one else. Like, it was just like, this has to be documented. And I felt it in my heart. Everything that I've done thus far that I felt in my heart, I've had a publication reach out to me about, okay. So I think that's very important for what I was doing. I had got a opportunity to photograph Double Dutch. Now, that's predominantly Black. Like, that just is what it is. But it was different from the protest work. So it had me look at some editors a little different. Like, oh, okay, so you're more aware of, you're trying to learn more about the Black community and what that all encompasses. So I thought that was good. So I think it's in the right direction. I'm just trying to see if they're going to
keep up with the same energy.
Yeah, but I'm very big on me and some of my peers creating our own Black magazines, our own Black publications, so that we don't really have to worry about reaching out.
Sweet. Well, that sounds like a good place to take a break right there. Uh, let's take a pause and we will come right back with Chris Facey and we'll talk a little bit more about what you got working on in the future. And we're back. This is In Focus, and we're sitting with Chris Facey. You still with us, Chris?
I'm here. I'm here.
All right, all right. So let's talk a little bit about your future. What do you have coming down the pike? What are you working on? What should we be looking out for you?
Whew. Whatever I can fit in right now between school and being in thesis in my last year. I'm working on a few projects. I have one project I'm working on that focuses on women's safety in New York City. There's a couple of those on my website. There's a few on my Instagram, which I'll probably have in the link later or something, where I'm photographing women, asking them about their safety levels in New York. How do they feel? Why do they feel they need to carry the weapons and things like that? I've got some real interesting stories from that as well. So hopefully that is something I can continue as an ongoing project. And another project I've been working on for the past few years is my Dad Duty project, where I'm kind of celebrating, making formal portraits and celebrating Black fathers, showing them so they could just be seen. You know how that story goes. We're not always seen in the light. I don't have the same experience as society would like to make you think that, you know, I didn't have a father figure or a father in the home. I have two daughters of my own. My best friends have kids. My brother has kids, you know, and I've always seen good Black father influences. Yeah, there's always the onesies, twosies, but that's just not there. But I haven't always experienced that, and I thought it was important for them to be seen. I seen a Macy's ad where there wasn't any photographs of like the formal dad. It was every other combination of, but a Black dad and a Black mom, and I was like, that's definitely still misleading. And that was 2018. They caught fire for that, but you know that hit me a little differently. And now when I'm out, I'm kind of more aware of the type of images I see of Black fathers. So I've been seeing a lot with COVID-19 images on stuff like that, or things about, you know, affinity health plan and stuff like that. They're adding those in, and also some fashion ads and commercial work. But I'm trying to photograph them just very formal, right in the center of the frame. You see them because I want you to see them before I can dive in. And you know, the second part of that is being invited into the homes for Dad Duty Project and photographing them in those intimate moments with their child, you know, the stuff that they don't see behind the scenes, because dads are just as important as moms, even if they don't want to show that.
Right.
Hopefully, them images could change on Mother's Day and Father's Day. You know, I don't want to tie for Father's Day. I like some diamonds too now.
Or diamonds in the tie, like get a wood tie with some diamonds in it. I need to put you in contact with one of my fraternity brothers who's working on a similar project, not from the photographic side of it, but just in terms of webcasts and stuff like that. So I'll put you in contact with some people.
Oh, I would love that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So thinking that you said that your dad was in your life and you remember your childhood, let's think about casting your mind back to when you were 14, 15, 16 years old. What photography advice would you give to your younger self? Like, what would you tell them, knowing where you are now, what would you tell your younger self to do?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I have these conversations with my friends all the time. Like, I wasn't aware of the power of photography at 13, 14 years old. So I always say, I wish someone would have given me a camera at 13. And explain to me certain things, or at least open the doors to show me who were people to look up to. That wasn't what I was given. I grew up in the 90s out here in Brooklyn. We were out in the street, we were playing, either somebody was, you going to sell drugs, play sports, something, things of that nature, that nobody ever say, yo, here's a camera and this is what you can do, or here's what people are doing, or here's a Black photographer. That's not even just Black photographer, just photographer in general. Like, I feel like I wasn't given that ball. And then once I left high school, I went to high school at Sheepshead Bay. I didn't graduate from there. I left, and when I moved to Yonkers and graduated from there, came back, seen some of my friends, and they were like, yeah, we had a photography course at the school. You didn't know? Like, no, I didn't know. Like,
Right. No one's
Taught
out,
me anything.
out of taking the course.
You know, and I always say that, like, I wish I can go back in time and like just give myself a camera, whatever it is. So I kind of try to do that with my daughters. I got them some cameras, and they photograph. They're coming into themselves, learning things, and I think it's really important. My oldest, she turned 13 this year, so I think it's important for her to have a camera and show her side of life, because you know it gets lost. There's
Yeah.
that parental loss, like a child. You don't understand. You don't know I've been your age before. Like, this is where we at. So, um, I figured
I've got an 11-year-old, so I know the deal.
yeah, the one way I know how to communicate is it's photographically, and that's what I strive to do, because whew, that's all
Say
I
no
can.
more. I know the deal. I know the deal. So, Chris, if people wanted to find you, look at your work, buy your stuff, commission you for a photograph, hire you, how do they find you?
The easiest way would be right to go to Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Cocoa Butter Shutter. That's COCO.BUTTER.SHUTTER. Or you can go to my website, cocobuttershutter.com.
Awesome. And we will make sure that we'll send some traffic your way. Make sure we get some more camera equipment for that daughter, so y'all can have something to talk about.
This weekend we're going up. We're going to be upstate, so hopefully us and nature will create some magical something.
Well, hopefully both of y'all make it back.
Thank you.
Every time I go away with my daughter, it's like, one of us ain't coming home. Yeah, you drive me crazy.
I hear that, man.
Well, Chris, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming on the show. I look forward to seeing that work, and Fatherhood Project and the Women's Safety Project. I think those are dope projects. And keep on doing what you're doing. And thank you for coming on In Focus.
No problem. Thank you, Hayden. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. This has been another episode of In Focus. We hope to see you as we interview more photographers, and stay tuned for much more information, much more stuff. We got a whole bunch of people that we want to talk to. We've been talking to Chris Facey, and we will see you next time. Stay in focus.